He's polling lower than any modern president at this point in a second term. That single sentence is already lighting up group chats from coast to coast. But here's where it gets controversial. Some analysts insist the numbers are actually worse than they look, while others claim they're a meaningless blip. So what's really happening to President Donald Trump's approval right now? Let's unpack every fresh survey, explain why each one matters. And yes, invite you to tell us whether you think these polls are capturing reality or missing it entirely. The Pew Research Center just dropped the most eye-catching finding. Only 38% of Americans say they approve of the job Trump is doing. That's a 9-point nosedive since Pew's early February survey, his second-term honeymoon, and a 3-point slide in just the last 8 weeks. A solid 60% now disapprove. Pew's own team points to two culprits: softening support among people who voted for him in 2024, and a sudden souring among adults who sat out November altogether. Translation? Even some of his own 2024 coalition and a chunk of the I don't do politics crowd are walking away. The poll, fielded August 4th to 10 among 3,554 adults, carries a razor-thin margin of error of plus 0.5.8 points, so the dip is almost certainly real, not statistical noise. But wait, this isn't an isolated outlier. It's the latest domino in a month-long cascade of grim numbers. Gallup clocked him at 37% approval from July 7th to 21st, and Reuters Ipsos had him at 40% at month's end. Historical context stings even more. Gallup's own archives show that no other modern president, think Reagan, Clinton, Obama, either Bush, has ever been this unpopular in the first July of a second term. Not one. Now, before panic or celebration sets in, let's zoom out to the polling averages. A New York Times rolling tracker and Real Clear Politics aggregation both paint a slightly less catastrophic picture. Roughly 44 to 45% approval and 51 to 53% disapproval as of August 14th. Why the gap? Averages smooth out outliers, and some newer polls with friendlier samples are tugging the line upward. Which set of numbers feels truer to you? Drop your take in the comments. We're genuinely curious. Here's the full scoreboard of individual surveys released in the past few weeks. YouGov/The Economist, August 9th to 11, 1,635 adults plus minus 3.5 points. Approve, 42%, disapprove, 54%, and you'll find that a majority believe the country is on the wrong track and that American democracy itself is sputtering. On the Texas redistricting drama, yes. The one that's had legislators playing hide-and-seek for 2 weeks. Over 2/3 say partisan gerrymandering should be banned outright. Yet when asked, what if the other side does it first? Only 35% say retaliation is acceptable. 30% say no, and 36% throw up their hands with, I'm not sure. That moral gray zone is where a lot of voters seem stuck. Morning Consult, August 8 to 10. 2,200 registered voters, plus or minus 2 points. Approve, 45%. Disapprove, 51%. This marks a second-term low for Trump in Morning Consult's tracking. Interestingly, views on the economy ticked up a hair. Voters now disapprove of his handling of the economy and trade by just 1 point each, compared with 6 and 4-point gaps the week before. A tiny silver lining or statistical static? You decide. CNBC All-America Economic Survey, July 29th to August 3rd, 1,000 adults, plus or minus 3.1 points. Overall approval, 46%. Overall disapproval, 51%. Drill into the 7 issues CNBC tested, and you'll see inflation remains Trump's Achilles heel. Only 37% approve of his approach to the cost of living, while 60% disapprove, unchanged since April, and 5 points worse than January. Taxes and federal spending sit at 40% and 38% approval respectively. Foreign policy at 41%. His strongest suit? The southern border, where 53% give him a thumbs up. Deportations and tariffs hover just under majority support at 49%. and 45%. If you had to pick one issue that could single-handedly sink or save his numbers, which would it be? So what does all of this actually mean? First, the president is clearly bleeding support beyond the usual partisan lines. Second, the economy and inflation are still the loudest drums in voters' ears. If prices cool, could a rebound be swift or have attitudes hardened into cement? And here's the part most people miss. Approval ratings aren't destiny. Midterm elections, global events, or even a single viral moment can rewrite the narrative overnight. Controversial take. Some strategists argue that low national polls mask intense regional loyalty that could still deliver battleground victories. Others counter that when independents and non-voters peel away, no electoral college math can save you. Which camp are you in? We've laid out the data, now we want your voice. Do these numbers reflect what you see in your own neighborhood, workplace, or social feed? Are pollsters undercounting shy Trump voters? Or is the bottom truly falling out? Sound off below. Agree, disagree, bring receipts. The conversation is live, and every perspective sharpens the picture for all of us. Catherine Palmer, National Trending News Reporter, USA Today. Find me at catpalmer@usatoday.com or at Catherine Palmer on X.